telling us what's happening down there. Liabo, nice to see you. Which day is it today? Yesterday, South Africa Day. Who are we focusing on today? Good morning.
Good morning, Leanne. Day 3 today. And it's been really an interesting conference, Leanne. I'm sure you can hear in the background. Today we are focusing this morning on looking at conference venues. The ICC, this is their second big event, face-to-face event that is, remember that since lockdown was effected last year in March, a lot of places have had to close down. So we've been doing everything virtually. This is the second conference that is happening here that is face-to-face. I'm going to be speaking to the CEO of Inkosi Albert Luthuli ICC, Ms. Lindiwe Rakgaribe. I'm going to speak to her to find out how this has been and, you know, how much they've lost and how much they may hoping to gain. And a little later, and I'm also going to be talking to creatives. Remember that there is also the KNEX, Creative Africa Nexus. We are also looking at the creative economy. We're going to be speaking to artists there. But first, let me bring in Ms. Rakgaribe, Lindiwe Rakgaribe. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Live. This is an amazing time. Did you ever think that you will see things up and running again here at the ICC in Durban?
Good morning and thank you. And I must say that whenever the cloud is grey, we know that the sun is hiding somewhere there. So we were hopeful that one day, when this COVID eases up, we'll be able to come back and receive people and receive our guests and be able to offer the warmth of KZN.
Yeah.
But yes, I must tell you, it's been horribly wrong. The COVID-19, the 18 months has been horrible for the whole tourism industry and the hospitality.
Yeah. Can you give us an estimate of how much you may have lost since 2020? How many events you would have hosted during this time?
I can just briefly tell you that normally the annual revenue that we make from the events, we've only made 15% of that. So we make about 180. I'll tell you, in 2020, between March and September, we had to lose 160 million because we had to pay back the people that had booked their events. Others postponed, booked for other dates, but the weddings and all those things could not happen at all.
Yeah.
So we lost quite a lot of money for these events.
Yeah.
So we are really excited to see the events coming back to life. Because as much as we branched onto hybrid events and virtual events, it's not the same. The face-to-face events and just shaking hands and looking at your face to see if you agree with what I'm saying, and it's not the same. So we're really excited with the easing of the lockdown so that we could be able to have more events.
Yeah.
This is the biggest one that we've had since the lockdown.
It doesn't help that just across the road, the Hilton Hotel has closed. That didn't help things either, did it?
That was not good for us, and we did have conversations with the Hilton people, but they are based in Dubai because it's now owned by Arabs, and they decided that because of COVID, they will keep the place closed for 2 years. So we're looking at them coming back next year. And I did, plead with them that we have more other events coming through, and it makes it difficult for delegates that are here because it's easier when they just walk across to the Durban ICC. I suppose it's time then for us as the Durban ICC to have our own hotel, so we don't have to. Yes.
Yeah.
You see, when there are challenges, they create opportunities as well. So I'm thinking it's an opportunity for us to just have that. Yeah.
I think it's a really good opportunity. I've noticed that during this conference, you've had to work hard to comply with COVID regulations, such as limiting the number of people in certain areas. And that has been kind of a chaos at times because I know that yesterday there were people shouting because they wanted to go in. How are you managing this?
So we have to comply. There's nothing else we can do. And if you noticed, even when we were serving the food, there are screens all around there. We were told, the president announced that for in-house events, we have to have 750. So as much as we have big spaces in ICC, we've got to make sure that the people that are in there 7. So as they scan and they're coming through, we're counting how many people are in. That's why we had said with the areas that we have, we would then have about 4,500 a day, which gives us 750 per each side. Yeah. So we found ourselves, which was nice. It was interesting to see more people wanted to come in. So, but we had to make sure that we comply with the regulations of keeping 750 per venue that we have. Remember, we were given 2,000 if it's outside. So your outside, open spaces, then it was 2,000. But we just have to manage it. Otherwise, we're going to get into trouble with the not complying with the COVID, making sure that everybody have their mask on. I'm sure you saw we have sanitizers everywhere because we do not want people saying this event, ITAF, was the super spreader. So we want to make sure that everybody is kept safe because at the end of the day, one life is important. We don't want to lose anyone, not even one person. Definitely. So it's important that we stick to the rules.
You did mention something interesting. So we did notice that a lot of businesses have had to think out of the box because of this COVID pandemic, and you have to look at how you're doing things. If you are offering fat cakes, can you offer them with jam or something like that? But now you mentioned that maybe it's time for you to have your own hotel. What are you doing as a business, as a company, to spread your wings, as it were? Because we do not know when this pandemic is going to be out of our lives for good.
So I think for us it's important that we find ourselves to repurpose the center. We cannot do things the same way. We have to look at things and do things a bit differently. Hence I'm saying we embarked on virtual events. We embarked on hybrid. That is what has kept us going. But it's small scale. And it's not that we can't do the foods. And even with the food that we're preparing, we've got to make sure that it's individually packaged, So for virtual events, they would come and they would have, maybe we'll have 150, because at the time, we're only allowed 250 people in. So 250 will come in and the rest will attend virtually. But when they leave, they can't sit and eat with us. We'll give them the packs and they'll go. So it's all those things. And another thing that we're thinking of as well as just trying to make sure that we stay alive and we have revenue and I'm able to pay my people is actually helping other commercial businesses, because we have beautiful big kitchens that can prepare various foods, the chillers and what have you. So we had other companies asking us, can you help us with your dessert? Absolutely. So that's what we're doing. So we're giving our services, we're giving our expertise in terms of how we prepare food and what have you, and helping those companies at a fee, of course. And then we're using the building as well to help other people for office space. So just so that I can be able to have revenue. Because I want to make sure, and I'm saying I'm really thankful to God that we haven't lost a single member at the ICC, and people haven't lost their jobs, and we've been able to keep on paying people. So we just want to make sure that we're able to have the revenue and pay everybody.
I can imagine that you would be a great person to know that the effect that you've had on other businesses around the ICC for this particular conference. It must have been great.
Absolutely. So you must know that each and every event that comes at the ICC, we create jobs, economic impact that comes into the city. So we're really appreciative of the big events that come through here, because your small businesses get to have jobs. What I'm wearing today was made by one of the everything made here. So it's nice because you give them, jobs to do, you give them work to do, and then they're able to feed their families. They're able to take that money by supplying ICC and by working at the ICC, whether you're taking camera, pictures, or you're doing videos, or you're supplying us with fruits and veggies. That brings, great stuff to your family. You're able to take your children to varsity, and you, just the livelihood of all. We exist because of our communities. We want to make sure that we add, value to our communities. It's got to be impactful. All the events that are happening here must impact on our communities.
Lindiwe, thank you so much for joining us. That's the CEO of the Inkosi Albert Luthuli ICC here in Durban, just giving us a lowdown of how they've been surviving through the COVID times. We will be speaking to another guest very shortly, Leanne, but I'm sure this has been an insightful interview for you and our viewers at home to know how these event spaces have been surviving through the pandemic. And it's back to you in studio.
Yeah, always interesting. Liabo, thanks very, very much for being there and chatting to them. Nice to see that businesses coming back to life, jobs, of course, are also coming back to life after such a long time. So good to see these gatherings taking place.